Give thanks and praise for life, you know, Selassie is alive. Yeah man, the land of the priests.
Lancaster Hill, the Stonehenge of the Caribbean.
2018 Winter Solstice Experience. Join us in Sun City, Antigua from Tuesday the 18th to Monday the 24th day of December. Come and bask in the mystic of the Stonehenge of the Caribbean. Come and experience sun, sea, sand, and megalith. Spend 7 days and nights in the heart of the Caribbean. Visit our national heritage sites. Meet and greet our people. Sample the local fruits and produce. Plus the beach, banquets, lectures, yoga, and of course, Greencastle Hill. Greencastle Hill, Mount Anna.
Save our national treasure.
And give thanks once again, the shock of the hour now with you. And this evening we're going to just go into a subject area. I had something else planned. I wanted to talk about the whole aspect of the reparations situation and the what's going on there with the University of the West Indies, giving some millions of dollars in reparation, or millions of pounds, if I'm not mistaken, it's 200 million pounds in reparation from the university there in London. I wanted to speak about that, but maybe we'll discuss that tomorrow evening or somewhere down the line. But of course, yes, the shock of the hour, giving thanks and praises all the time to the power and might of the Holy Trinity, Kadamawe Haile Selassie. It's going to be a wonderful one. The reason why I wanted to touch down on this subject now is because most of you obviously would have heard of the death of George Bush, President of the United States of America, President number 41. So I decided that I just wanted to do a program on the science of the presidents, you know, just a few little things from out of the bag as such. Not directly speaking about George Bush the first, as you would know, my favorite character is George Bush the second. You ever seen the part where the fella threw the shoe at George Bush? That's W. Bush the second, number 43. Yeah, man, that was hilarious, just to say the least, you know, and that is why he's like my favorite character as far as the presidents, you know. He brings this humor to the office, you know, just as cruel as the rest of them, you know, man, but he brings this humor, you know, this funny vibes, this clownish buffoonery that you tend to full joy, and that's me personally. But anyway, I wanted to touch upon a few things. A few years ago, I had this whole vibration. When I say a few years ago, several years ago, man, it's a long time, a decade plus. This is when we were doing the radio program on ZDK, The Mystic Vibration. And I did a program highlighting the number 666 and the dragon and the beast in Revelation. Now, I had this philosophy at that time that the dragon in Revelation chapter 3, remember, chapter 3, pardon me, chapter 13, and the dragon is Pope John Paul II, while the beast in the same Revelation was Ronald Reagan. And I came forward with that idea, and I was, you know, I did a program around that, man, that almost got me kicked off of the radio. You could imagine you on the radio telling people that the dragon in Revelations, as if you're pointing it out, you know, man, and the beast. Because if you read Revelation, it speaks about the dragon giving power to the beast, and it also speaks about the number of the beast is the number of a man, according to how it's written, and it's 666, you know, 666, 666. So, but anyway, the whole vibration of the Pope and the Papal and Rome and the whole doctrine thereof, I don't want to try to go too deep into that. I personally can direct you to a YouTube video that we have entitled, Is Jesus God? If you type in Is Jesus God, Priest Isaac, YouTube, you'll come straight to the video, Is Jesus God? And in that episode on the YouTube, we broke down the dream of Daniel, the vision that Daniel had, and compared it to the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. And of course, you know, the dream of Nebuchadnezzar consists of this great statue that basically resembled him as such, and the different body parts had the different metals. You remember that. And what we did, Daniel 7 now, in Daniel 7, in the vision that Daniel had, he saw the animals, he saw the lion with the wings, and he saw the bear with the ribs in his mouth that leaned on one side. He also saw the leopard with the 4 heads and the wings that were moving swift, and then he saw the beast with the 10 horns and the teeth of iron and the crowns on the head, and was it 10 horns or 7 horns or 7 crowns? However it was, he saw the beast, you know, which represented Rome. And that philosophy really wasn't nothing that we personally discovered or invented. In fact, you would hear the members of the Seventh-day Adventists and other different groups really use that prophecy of Daniel in relation to the alignment of the kingdoms that conquered each other from Babylon to the Medo-Persian kingdom to Greece, then to Rome. And I must say, I mean, that prophecy of Daniel as it relates to history is quite profound. Unless the story of Daniel was written after the fact of the history being fulfilled and then brought to the public as if it is older than the history, well, that's another story altogether. But if the history written that is being attributed to Daniel is before the history that it speaks of in Daniel's vision, because remember, in Daniel's vision, he doesn't clearly say it's, you know, this kingdom, that kingdom, and the other. But in a sense, he clearly says it because it's very clear. It is extremely clear. You, Nebuchadnezzar, is the lion with the wings. And the other beast that shall overthrow you, one over the other, like it's some sort of biological food chain, that's the kingdoms that will conquer each other as they go along historically. And you follow the kingdoms, that's it. You come from Babylon, Medo-Persian, Greece, and Rome. And yet still the characteristics of the animals, the leopard and the 4 heads, and the beast with the 10 horns, and the iron and the clay and everything is well aligned with the country or the nations that conquered the other nations. So it's well in tune, I'm telling you. The only way you could get over Daniel's prophecy as it relates to the history of the nations, the only way you can bite that is to prove that the story of Daniel was written after the conquering of these nations, as if to act as if it was before. But outside of that, it's really on point, you know. So I'm saying that quickly to say, because we're speaking of the presidents, I want to get to that, is that, you know, so we see Rome, according to the very biblical scripture, Rome has a special place in the Bible as the killer of Christ, as the persecutor of the saints of the Lord, you know, the murderer of the followers of the Most High. That's Rome's position in the scripture. Yeah. And Rome now taking the place of all the demonic kingdoms before him, from Babylon to Greece and the others. Rome now stepping in as the chief devil. Scripture I talking about, eh? We're in a dragon now. A dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, and that dragon was Rome. So I'm saying that even history can show you that something's not too right with the way that the Roman Orthodox bloc separated from that of which is the Oriental Orthodox churches, particularly, Ethiopia, over the whole divinity of the Christ. And we know what's going on in Rome, and we understand that. So there was a science now again with the number, the 6 and the 6 and the 6. And when I was doing this program, I attributed the 666 with the signal or the insignia that is seen on the mitre of the papel, and everybody knows this. This is not my discovery. I didn't discover this. When it says, what does it say again? Fele dele, I can't even remember it now. But we all know what it is. I remember it. It's there in my head. It's just not coming out. But when it says the vicar of the Son of God, Vicaris Fele die. What's wrong with you? It's there. Vicarius Fele die. And that is Latin for the vicar of the Son of God. Right. And when you do the numerical value, pardon me, when you check the numerical value of Vicarius Fele die, you get 666. I'm not going to do the addition now. As I said, you could check that episode we did, Is Jesus God? Vicarius Fele die. It does add the 666. And because, as I said, this is something that is well known, I think most even of the listeners have some idea of what I'm speaking of, that you do see the number 666 written on the whole aspect of the Pope of Rome. The number 6 is mystic. I don't think there's anything wrong with the number 6. It's not a devil number. You got to get to 6 before you get to 7, don't you think? And some people argue that just the whole makeup of the man and the carbon atom has the 6 and the 6 and the 6 of the neutrons and electrons and protons. And some people who are very dogmatic and religious are quick to put that away too and say, but that's not what the Bible is speaking about. But you see, on another level, that's exactly what the Bible is speaking about. But that's going to carry you into what some may want to brand as the occult. And one day, we will speak about the view of the occult as it relates to the 666. It's not necessarily the same as the religious outlook of the 666, but yet still, with high understanding, you can blend them both. But I'm not dealing with the occult, neither, not even really the religious. We're talking about the presidents, So already we see the Pope branded with this, and we all know the whole story of the Pope. Good. And I found it very interesting that the first Pope to really visit a president of the United States, as far as visiting him at his inauguration, because we know Paul the Sixth, he went to New York City and all of that, but John Paul II, who to me is very outstanding when it comes to the line of popes. John Paul II visited Ronald Wilson Reagan at his inauguration. Now, Ronald Wilson and Reagan is really 6 letters apiece in each name. So even when I realized that at that time, I was saying, wow, look at that. Because Ronald Wilson Reagan was very outstanding, Before I go any further, as I said, because I decided to revisit this subject here, I did a little research and I came across an article. I'm not going to read everything in the article, right? And it's coming out of the Washington Post. I would like you to check it out. Washington Post archives. The computer not moving too fast here. But anyway, it's speaking directly of the situation, a superstitious view of Reagan's victory. Please listen to this. A superstitious view of Reagan's victory. Okay. Now that legal gambling may be coming to Washington, people are thinking about numbers in connection with everything. And this was by Dorothy Gilliam. This is Dorothy Gilliam. This is from the archives, eh? Dorothy Gilliam, November 15, 1980. Okay. It says, now that legal gambling may be coming to Washington, people are thinking about numbers in connection with everything. This became apparent when I talked to a lady in the beauty shop the other day and tried to counter her incessant jabbering about a story that is making the rounds in some of Washington's black neighborhoods. The story is that some numerologists believe President-elect Ronald Reagan is the devil. Now, this believe is missing an E. I don't know if this is a miss. This is straight from the Washington Post. The editors missed out an E. I know this is in 1980, but hey, this is the Washington Post. But anyway, she said it started when the winning number in the Maryland lottery on November 4th, election day, was 666. Let me repeat that. She said it started when the winning number in the Maryland lottery on November 4th, election day, was 666. She explained to me that 666 is a very significant number. She even had a small black Bible, which she pulled out and read from the book of Revelation. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 603.6. And then basically, it's a bit lengthy. As I said, you can go and look at it. It's the Washington Post by Dorothy Gilliam, and it is entitled A Superstitious View of Reagan's Victory. Now, the reason why I'm stopping here, I already gave you a little idea, and what the article will continue to do now is to take Ronald Reagan's name, Ronald Wilson Reagan, and outline the 666, and then they go into a bit of chatter and a little dialogue in there. But you can trust your brother. There's nothing else in the article where she highlights any other aspect of Ronald Reagan related to 666 and the devil. You understand? And as you could see, this is 1980. This is even before he was shot. This article was written. I haven't found really anything else on that subject area, but to be honest, I was surprised to come across this, because when we were speaking about such, it wasn't too many people that were hip to that. Listen to this. Okay, Ronald Wilson Reagan. 666. So I'm sure some of you may have 6 letters apiece in your name. Does that necessarily mean that there's something wrong with you? Does that necessarily mean that you are a devil? I must say the lottery number of 666 is very interesting. Trust me, I'll put that in the bag. The brother was born on the 6th. The brother was born, I keep saying brother, what's wrong with you? Ronald Reagan was born, yeah, on the 6th of February. That is 19, let's get this straight, 11, isn't it? Yeah, right. 1911, 6th of February. Just trying to rattle everything in my brain. 1911, 6th of February. And we must keep in mind now, when we follow the Ethiopian calendar, that begins with September as the first month. It would bring February somewhere in the midst of the 6th month, the area of the February. So Ronald Reagan being also born the 6th day of, with some would be in the 6th month in that connection. It's a kind of mystic link. So, but we got to remember now who we're speaking of. We're speaking of Ronald Reagan, who again being the 40th president of the United States. It is said that some 60% of the economy went towards the military. And the question is asked now, who can make war with the beast? So I also mentioned that being the only president wherein the Pope of Rome would have come, and actually at the inauguration, it is said that that day the snow came down heavy, 144 people inside where the whole affair was being taken place. 144 represents the whole science of the 144,000 elect, and the whole science of the 144 within the cycle of life. Let me just take a quick look here. So that was really something that was being expressed at that time, something to really look into. I'm just putting that with what the sister was saying as she's highlighting the number 6, 6, and 6. And even the 6th of February, very, very interesting number there, interesting time, interesting date as well. But now, how would you look at that? It doesn't mean if you were born on the 6th of February, something wrong with you. And as I said, it doesn't mean necessarily if you have 6 letters in your name each, and it doesn't necessarily mean, but it doesn't mean you're going to overlook it. Look at Bob Marley, Robert Nesta Marley. Robert Nesta Marley is actually 666. It's 6 letters in each name, you know. In fact, Robert Nesta Marley and Ronald Reagan were born on the very same date, the 6th of February. And some may say, oh, well, when you're trying to link them together, well, you know, Marcus Messiah Garvey is 6 letters in each name as well. Let me read something here for you. Revelation chapter 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. That's it, 7 heads and 10 horns, yeah. 7 heads and 10 horns, 10 crowns upon the head, and the name of the beast is blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet was unto the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power. That's interesting. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now, as I said, the dragon. So we were highlighting the Roman government being the dragon, you know. And if you understand the science again, because this is well in the cosmos, Ronald Reagan, again, was born when? The 6th of February, 1911. Now, 11 is another key number, 11. Because on the 6th of February, 1922, Pope Pius XI was inaugurated Pope. He was once known as Ambrose Ratty. Ambrose Ratty, Cardinal Ambrose Ratty, became Pope Pius XI. When did that happen? That happened in 1922, on the 6th of February. That was Ronald Wilson Reagan's 11th birthday. So you could imagine Ronald Reagan blowing out the 11 candles on his at the same time when the smoke is coming out of the chapel, if they were doing that all them times there. And then Ambrose Ratty was announced to be the new pope. And his new pope name is going to be Pope Pius the what? The 11th. Ambrose Ratty, the 11th. The same day, Reagan was 11 years old. And what is mystic is that this Ambrose Ratty, the Pope Pius the 11th, is the same pope that supposedly blessed Mussolini's bombs to go and attack Ethiopia. And you see, this is how you pick things up and can look through the science and the sacred numbers and everything, because an 11 looks like 2 ones, wherein it looks like the Roman numeral for 2, the second. So when we're saying John Paul II now visited the inauguration in symbolic fashion, verse 3, and I saw, no, we don't reach that far yet, verse 2, and the dragon gave his power and his seat and great authority to the beast. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wounds were healed. Hear that? And all the world wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, you better believed it, which gave power.
Give thanks and praise for life, you know, Selassie is alive. Yeah, man, the land of the priests.
Lancaster Hill, the Stonehenge of the Caribbean.
2018 Winter Solstice Experience. Join us in Sun City, Antigua from Tuesday the 18th to Monday the 24th day of December. Come and bask in the mystic of the Stonehenge of the Caribbean. Come and experience sun, sea, sand, and nebula. Spend 7 days and nights in the heart of the Caribbean. Visit our national heritage sites. Meet and greet our people. Sample the local fruits and produce. Plus the beach, banquets, lectures, yoga, and of course, Green Castle Hill. Green Castle Hill, Mount Anno.
Save our national treasure.
Wondered after the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, you better believed it, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Man, they drive around in a car named the beast, you know, man. Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemy, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. And listen, when you understand again, you know, verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wounds were healed. And all the world marveled at the beast. Wow. And on the 30th of March, you know, man, Ronald Reagan was shot. He didn't die. As it says there, the whole world marveled because, you know, he lived. And that's in the year 1981, the 30th of March. And at the same time now, on the 13th day of May, Pope Paul II was shot, and he didn't die. And here we have the scripture showing you that the whole world marveled, for the beast was wounded. Yes, was wounded, but that's the key thing, that the beast did not die. And I think the numbers also speak for themselves, meaning that first of all, they both were shot in the month of M, March and May. And at the same time, the both of them, that is John Paul II and Ronald Wilson Reagan, as I said, they both did not die. You understand? And it was literally for them, this is deep, because Reagan was shot on 3-0. The Pope was shot on 1-3. They were literally shot 1 month and 13 days, 1-1-3. I mean, apart from each other. 1 month and 13 days. To be more official, 44 days. And those who are in the, I mean, come on, don't be playing around here. Those who are in the mystics and the occult, no, you don't play with the 40 and 4 plus 4, 44. What's that rapper's name? Yeah, 4, 44. What's his name, Jesse? Jesse is Christ, is Jesus in patois. Jesse Q, Jesse, Jesus, Jesse. Yeah, I mean, Jay-Z. Yeah, you understand. So 40 and 4, 113. The 3-0 in the March, the M month and the May, the M month and the 1-3. And remember, it is Revelation 13. Revelation 13 verse 3. Revelation 13 verse 3. That says the beast was wounded. The world marveled and the beast did not die. 13, you know. verse 3. And on the 30th of M, and on the 13th of M, 1 month and 13 days apart, 44 days to be precise. The both events happened where both Ronald Wilson Reagan, 6th of June 1911, 11 years before Pope Pius XI was inaugurated, and John Paul II was shot. You know, as an actor, even before the acting kind of thing, you know, he was governor of California. That's Ronald Wilson Reagan. He became governor of California in 1966. He rode this red horse, you know. The Bible speaks of somebody that rides a red horse, you know. Revelation again. And the rider of the red horse was death, and death and hell followed him, the rider of the red horse. I never seen this officially, but one told me the horse was called Thunder, and the horse was struck by lightning. Now what I noticed, you see, there's a lot of science here. And there's something I'm going to read to you. I have a list of coincidences between John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln. So many that I've never come across some of these. I'm just going to give you those that I, you know, because everything here is linked, you know. What I'm saying about, because it's the presidents. And it's the science. So I know it's not by mistake that at the age of 11 was being crowned the Pope of 11. Nobody could tell me a 9/11 and the buildings that look like an 11. And when all the presidents met in the church, all the living presidents were there after 9/11 except Ronald Reagan, because he died in 2004. He died in 2004. It was the 5th of June. And Pope Paul died in, 2005, the 2nd of April. They both died on a Sabbath day, you understand? And the time frame between their deaths also was like 301 days. 301 days, so, you know, without the 0, you see the 3 and the 1 again, the 3 and the 1 and the 1 and the 3 and the 13 and everything is well in sync. So nothing really is missing when you follow the sequence of the numbers and the science of numerology and etymology thereof. You ain't got to have no degree in it, because they ain't giving it out. You just got to know who you are and what your mission here is. So, what we would show now is the link between Kennedy and Lincoln. And I'm going to read a list of some things here, which includes what I'm going to tell you. But what I'm going to tell you is what I basically, you could say, figured out on my own. This is years ago, you know. But then now doing my research, I mean, this is well covered already. Because there's a direct link. Both Kennedy and Lincoln, they both came to office in like exactly 100 years apart, from 1860 to 1960. That's President Kennedy and President Lincoln. Now what stands out for both of them, they are well beloved, supposedly. They are pushed as well beloved, nice presidents. And they both assisted the blacks in one case and the Negroes. Well, the Negroes in one case and the slaves in the other case. You know, one helped the slaves to become Negroes and one kind of helped the Negroes to become blacks. Civil rights and emancipation, that's both Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln. History shows that they both lost a son while they were in office. They were both shot in the head. Now, although the whole story with John F. Kennedy is much more than meets the eye, in fact, what meets the eye is enough. If you watch the video when he was really shot, it looks as if the man that shot him was right in the car. Speaking about meets the eye, you should just take your time and watch it properly. And there's some well done documentaries that go along with the footage, so you'll be assisted in understanding what you're really looking at. But anyway, and the different bullets and the different directions that he was shot from. So just blaming it on the one fella there, Harvey, whatever his name was there, Oswell, or just blaming it on him alone doesn't really sound right. At least from my outlook when I investigated properly. But yet still, for the historical part of it, the person that shot John F. Kennedy, supposedly, shot him from a warehouse and he ran into a theater. The fella that shot Abraham Lincoln shot him in a theater and he ran into a warehouse. That's Kennedy and Lincoln. Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy and Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln. This is so serious, you know. So I already saw that something's really wrong there. They're both, to me, as far as the dollars, remember John F. Kennedy, he passed the bill, I don't know what they call it, it's a bill or executive order 11110, 4 ones and a 0. That really, what it did, it took the dollar and gave value to the US dollar once again. And that is one of the reasons why he was surely taken out. Because when you do that, the oligarchies, the executives of the planet cannot really rake in the dough in the way that they would like to, you know, just because you're blocking their movements, really. That's really what's happening. So, when you observe John F. Kennedy, Lincoln now, you'll notice that he's on the penny. The penny or the penny or the nickel. The penny, right. He's on the penny. All of the coins, the nickel and the dime and the quarter, they're shiny and silver looking, while the bronzish looking copper style stuff is given to Abraham Lincoln, the fella with the beard. They say he have black people in his blood too. Yeah. Now if you look at the pennies good, or the nickels, the coins properly, if you were to put them in a line, you will notice that the coins with George Washington and the other cats, the silver coins, they're looking in one direction, while Abraham Lincoln is looking in the opposite direction. They're looking in one direction, and Abraham Lincoln is looking in the other direction. Now what kind of stuff is that? Why is Abraham looking in another direction, contrary to that in which George and his brethren are looking? You know, who's on the other coins? I don't remember. But whoever they are, they're looking in one way. So if you put Abraham's coin, the nickel, not the nickel, sorry, the 1 cent, the penny, that same thing you just throw into the fountain and in the pool. You know, you have it in the jars, jarred up. You put them, you throw it in the rubbish. A penny, 1 cent. Abraham Lincoln. So everything in the store costs, it's $19.99. Oh, keep the change. $20.99. You know, that little 1 cent, we don't really care about that too much, and that's the subliminal message that being uttered there, you know. You don't even know. A lot of people upset with Lincoln for freeing the niggers. Up to this very day, a lot of people upset with John F. K. for giving these Negroes their civil rights up to this day. So it is seen from the highest standard. So he's given the smallest as it relates to the coins, a penny. And his color is different. It looks somewhat, you know, let's say soiled in comparison to the shiny ones. And he is looking in an opposite direction as it relates to that of George and whoever else is on the dime and the 5 cents and whatever else is there, and the 10 cents, the dime, and the nickel and the penny and the quarter. Yeah. And then when it comes to the paper money now, you may say, but George Washington is on the $1 and Abraham Lincoln is on the 5. See, there you go again. Abraham Lincoln is given the lease. He is given the $5. You will say, no, hold on. Hold on. How is that the lease? What about the dollar? You can't count the dollar. The dollar? That's the dollar, brother. You never hear about the dollar? No, man. You cannot compare $1 to 1 cent. You know. That's the dollar. All the different levels of economy in the world are trying to balance themselves and stand up against what? The dollar. So it's the dollar. Everybody's running down the dollar. You're trying to chase a dollar. So the dollar is highly ranked. Believe me. If Abraham Lincoln was on the dollar, he would be saying something. That's why George is on the dollar, because the dollar is the king, not even Benjamin. Well, yeah, Benjamin kind of come in second place. I know what you're saying. You got to be crazy. Well, give me second place any day. I understand. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't mean the amount you have. Remember, it doesn't really have no value, you know. It is a game they play, and it's all monopoly money. But as far as expression, as far as clout, and ranks for who you really are, the fella on the dollar bill is the real fella. That's it. And Abraham comes in with number $5 bill. You don't understand what's going on here. You think this is a joke. President Kennedy and President Lincoln, both presidents were elected to the House of Representatives in 1846, 1946. Both presidents were non-Masons. Who says that? Both presidents were non-Masons, and both of their successors were Masons. Non-Mason presidents replaced with Mason power. Okay. Both were losing candidates for their party's vice president nomination in 56, both of them. Both presidents were elected to the presidency in 1960, 1860. Both died after being shot in the head. Lincoln defeated incumbent vice president John C. Breckinridge in the presidency in 1860. Kennedy defeated incumbent Vice President Richard Nixon for the presidency in 1960. Both their predecessors were the last presidents to be born in their respective centuries. Good. Both their predecessors left office in their 70s and retired to Pennsylvania. James Buchanan, whom Lincoln succeeded, retired to Township, and Dwight Eisenhower, whom Kennedy succeeded, retired to Gettysburg. They both then died before the end of the decade. Both their vice presidents were successors, both their vice presidents and successors were Southern Democrats named Johnson. You have Andrew Johnson, that is for Lincoln, and you have Lyndon Johnson, that is for Kennedy. And they were both born in 08. I'm telling you. Both presidents were concerned with issues affecting Black Americans and made their views strongly known in 63. Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1862, which took effect in 1863. In 1963, Kennedy presented his reports to Congress on issues related to the civil rights movement, and in June of that year delivered his civil rights address on radio and television, in which he proposed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Both presidents and their successors conferred with a nationally known black leader about civil rights. Both Lincoln and Andrew Johnson conferred with Frederick Douglass. Both Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson conferred with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Both presidents were known for their wit and eloquence, and both frequently quoted Shakespeare and the Bible in their speeches. Okay. Both presidents had been captains of ships in their private lives. Lincoln on a riverboat and Kennedy on PT 109. That's some serious stuff. Each president suffered from a genetic disease. Lincoln had Marfan's syndrome. Kennedy had Addison's disease. Both presidents were shot in the head on a Friday, seated beside their wives. Both Fridays preceded a major holiday observed within the week. You see, you got to check all these things, man. These people don't just move on a whim. It's all aligned with stars and dates and holidays and festivals and seasons. Yeah. Both assassinations occurred in a city that was the 14th largest in the nation according to the most recent census taken in 1860 and 1960. You see that? Now tell me, imagine that. And killed on the 33rd parallel. Imagine that. No joke. During the assassination, they were sitting in an alphabetical pattern. Hear this now. Their spouse's name and both presidents' last name. That is JKLM, Jackie Kennedy, Lincoln Mary. Jackie was seated to the left of Kennedy, Mary to the right of Lincoln. So when you follow the line, you get JKLM, like in the alphabet, HIJKLMNOP, JKLM, Jackie Kennedy, Lincoln Mary. Telling you, both presidents were accompanied by another couple. The male companion of the other couple was wounded in the assassin, by the assassin. Pardon me. See, so that's with both cases. Both presidents fathered 4 children and had a son die during his presidency. Imagine that. And let me just bring in this here. This is not on the board, but although the year slips me, I must say the year slips me. But you see, Haile Selassie, when he visited Kennedy, he also visited the Lincoln Memorial, meditate on that. And he laid a wreath at the Lincoln Memorial made with hundreds of Ethiopian coins. Haile Selassie had hundreds of Ethiopian coins melted and smelted, whatever the case is, to produce a wreath where Haile Selassie, laid at Lincoln's memorial when he visited Kennedy, obviously knowing the Grand Master himself, the chief architect, the great architect, pardon me, obviously understanding the science of Lincoln's monument and the science of Lincoln and Kennedy and the time and the parallel that we are on and everything else, the almighty eye knows what's going on. Laid that wreath in coins at Lincoln's memorial, and he returned in a few weeks to see President Kennedy get buried. Burying Kennedy was like burying Lincoln. Double burial. Do you know John F. Kennedy Jr. died, as I said, I can't remember the year, in a plane crash, and them plane crash, these plane crashes, that's the right English, they're always suspicious. Because he died on the 23rd day of July. The plane crashed on the plane crash that concerned John F. Kennedy Jr. This is in the 90s, man. 90s? Yeah, 90s. Late 90s or early 2000s, something thereof. But it was on the 23rd day of July when all of this took place. That's the birthday of Haile Selassie I. You know? So don't overestimate or underestimate, I should say, the number science, the science of the number. Both presidents, continued reading, had only one child survive into the next century. That child served another president by political appointment. Imagine that. Both presidents' wives died in their 60s after an untimely decline in health during the administration of a president who had been in the same party as their husbands in Washington, D.C. The same year as the assassination, Mary Todd Lincoln died during the presidency of Chester A. Arthur. Arthur had attended President Lincoln's 1865 inauguration. Jacqueline Kennedy died during the presidency of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton met President Kennedy in 1963 during a boy state summer program. Lincoln was shot by John Booth at Ford's Theater. Okay. listen to this one. This one heavy. Lincoln was shot by John Booth at Ford's Theater. Kennedy was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald in a Lincoln automobile made by Ford. Wow. Bring the curtains down. Both presidents, you get it? Lincoln was shot by John Booth at Ford's Theater. Kennedy was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald in a Lincoln automobile made by Ford Theater. Both presidents' last names have 7 letters. Both assassins' full names have 15 letters. A joke. Both, while in their 30s, married 24-year-old women who spoke fluent French. Now you mean to tell me, if this is not well plot and planned, this is just the mystics blowing up in your face. It's either one or the other, or a mixture of two. Because how you mean to tell me the two of them in the 13s, both of them get a woman that is 24 years old to be their wife? Just the exact age. Now, I mean, that could be a quote-unquote coincidence, but take into consideration all the other coincidences that we're bringing up here. It's either well planned, well orchestrated, down to the day they born, man. Like if these people are picked before they come into the world to do what they do, either from the unseen or from some people around the round table, some way or the other. We got to check this out. Both were related to a U.S. Senator, Attorney General, Ambassador to Britain, and the Mayor of Boston. I'm telling you. Both were born as second children, you see me? Each assassin committed his crime in the building where he was employed. Oh, you're tired. Both presidents were purportedly smiling immediately before the assassination began. All right. After shooting Lincoln, Booth ran from a theater into a warehouse. After shooting Kennedy, Oswald ran from a warehouse into a theater. Both assassins died in the same month as their victim in a state adjacent to the state of their birth. Wow. Both assassins were shot and killed with a Colt revolver. Pardon me. Both assassins, well, that alone tell you I ain't no gunsmith. Both assassins were southern white males born in the late 30s, 1930s, 1830s, who were in their mid-20s and were 5 feet 8 inches in height with hazel eyes and brown hair. Tell me, both assassins were sympathetic to a government that opposed the United States, and both had once resided within that government's border. Both assassins were killed before being tried by men who were reared in the North, changed their names as adults, and were bachelors. Both assassins suffered injuries during escape. Okay, well, both assassins fled using modes of transportation they did not own. Okay? Both rented a horse. Oswald rode a bus. Well, yeah, okay, I mean, that ain't too hard. Both presidents had bodyguards named William. Okay, William H. Crook told Lincoln not to go to the assassination point. William Greer drove Kennedy to the assassination point. Both bodyguards named William died within 48 hours of being age 45 years and 5 months. So both of them, when they hit, 75 years and 5 months. So both of them, obviously at different times, when they reached 75 years and 5 months at that very day, within 2 days after that day, the both of them died. That's very interesting. Now tell me, what are you trying to tell me? What are you telling me? This alone is a case study. This alone is a real investigation. What? That just happened by chance? Presidential security was heavily criticized after each assassination for being too lax. That's it. Ain't no coincidence. That only makes sense. Lincoln sat in box number 7 at Ford's Theater. Kennedy's sat in car number 7 in the motorcade. Okay, that have a little vibes. The doctors who primarily attended to each president were both named Charles. Dr. Charles Leale treated Lincoln. Dr. Charles Chenchaw, I don't know if he's Japanese, treated Kennedy. Each president died in a place with the initials PH. Lincoln died at the Peterson House and Kennedy died at Parkland Hospital. Kennedy was the second president in U.S. history who issued interest-free money. The first was Lincoln, who issued greenbacks to finance the Civil War. I am telling you, the most I'm going to say right now is that we are very close to the 21st day of December, our first hike, winter solstice hike, and the 23rd day, the second winter solstice hike. I am still reaching out to all my brothers and sisters internationally. I don't think nobody here listening live on the moon, or maybe you do. Can't talk too fast. But even if that's where you are, I'm inviting you from the 18th to the 24th day of December. That's just in a few days, from the 18th to the 24th day of December. The winter solstice experience, the Green Castle Hill. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm scratching my head. You gotta be, you serious? Come on. All you gotta do is email me, priestisaac27 Go on my YouTube site and look at the videos recently uploaded, Green Castle Hill. I have the documentary as well that I could email to you if you desire to look at the documentary. I'm going to drop the ad specifically so you can hear and see the ad, whatever the case is. All you have to do, as I say, is contact me, priestisaac27@gmail.com. I'll send you the whole itinerary and let you know exactly what the price of the package is, your accommodations, everything, and you know exactly where to take it from there. So I'm very thankful again for your presence. As I said, hey, also, I'm gonna ask all of my listeners to, share the video as it relates to the ad. It's only 57 seconds long. The ad itself, the video ad for the Green Castle Hill hike, and of course the petition site. Share it for a good brother, and of course it will take the mission just a bit more further. If you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And of course it takes some real eyes to realize the real.
Give thanks and praise for life, Selassie is alive. Yeah man, the land of the priests.
Green Castle Hill, the Stonehenge of the Caribbean.
2018 Winter Solstice Experience. Join us in Sun City, Antigua from Tuesday the 18th to Monday the 24th day of December. Come and bask in the mystic of the Stonehenge of the Caribbean. Come and experience sun, sea, sand, and megalith. Spend 7 days and nights in the heart of the Caribbean. Visit our national heritage sites, meet and greet our people, sample the local fruits and produce, plus the beach, banquets, lectures, yoga, and of course, Green Castle Hill. Green Castle Hill, Mount Anno.
Save our national treasure.
Subscribe to the Mystic Vibrations Shock of the Hour program today and never miss another episode. The Shock of the Hour is a Radio Anu exclusive program produced every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. By now, I am sure that you are aware that all our programs are packed with information, inspiration, mystic vibrations, as well as hot button topics. Every evening we enter into a different dimension, even if it is a part 2 of the previous program, whether it's history or mystery, biology or philosophy, domestic affairs or the locks of your hair. The mystic vibration is sure to bring something new and interesting to the table every evening. So never miss another episode again. Subscribe to the Shock of the Hour now. And don't forget your key Swahili word of the day and your daily scientific fact. So, to subscribe, give us an email, priestisaac27@gmail.com, or call or WhatsApp us today. Area code 1268-728-3162. The Shock of the Hour. Never miss another program. And a special note to all our new subscribers. All our new subscribers will receive a special copy of the DVD documentary, full length, The Night of the Black Tiger, The Divinity of Marcus Messiah God.